When I inherited my grandfather's cabin, I thought it was just an old wooden shack buried deep in the forest, a retreat where I could finally breathe after years of city noise and restless nights. Everyone dreams of a place like that, a cabin with a porch, a creaky rocking chair, a stove that smells of firewood and ash. At first, I told myself it was an escape, a reset button for my brain, but almost immediately, the silence there began to feel wrong, oppressive, heavy, in a way that silence shouldn't. When I stepped onto the porch for the first time, I noticed the way the trees leaned unnaturally, as though they were bending inward, trying to listen, trying to keep something trapped. My grandfather had always been distant, a man who spoke with his eyes down, who laughed rarely, whose hands trembled even when he was young. I used to wonder what secrets he kept in that cabin, why he never let me play in the basement, why his voice dropped low whenever the subject of the woods came up. Now? No. That first night, the wind rattled the window panes like skeletal fingers, and I lay awake on the old mattress, staring at the ceiling beams. It was then that I heard it for the first time scraping, a slow, deliberate sound, like a shovel hitting stone, followed by a drag, then another scrape. It came from beneath the floor. My heart raced as I pressed my ear to the cold boards, and the sound was unmistakable. Someone was digging down there, and that was when I realized my grandfather's cabin hides a secret cemetery, a place no living soul should have ever discovered. I couldn't sleep, not with that sound gnawing at the edge of my sanity. The next morning, I tried to convince myself it was a dream, the creaks of an old house, or maybe the work of rodents nesting beneath the floorboards. But my curiosity was stronger than my fear, and that's always where horror begins, with curiosity. I searched the cabin, every drawer, every shelf, looking for answers. In the back of the closet, behind a pile of moth-eaten coats, I found journals, leather-bound and crumbling, their pages yellow and brittle. His handwriting was erratic, desperate, and the entries spoke of feeding the land and keeping the dead appeased. He wrote of graves dug in silence, bodies hidden away, offerings made so that the woods themselves would let him live. At first, I laughed darkly, thinking maybe the old man had finally lost his grip on reality. But then I noticed dates carved into his notes, dates that matched obituaries from the local town. My grandfather's cabin wasn't just a retreat, it was a cover for something unspeakable. That night, unable to resist the pull, I pried up a loose panel near the fireplace. The wood groaned as if it were alive, and below it, hidden like a wound beneath skin, was a staircase descending into darkness. The air that rose up from it was damp and sour, like freshly turned earth and rotting leaves. Against my better judgment, I went down. My flashlight flickered weakly as if warning me to turn back, but I didn't. I stepped into the soil-lined chamber below, and what I saw twisted my stomach into knots. There were graves, dozens of them, wooden crosses crookedly jammed into the dirt, some carved with names, some left blank. They stretched out in rows, silent, waiting, patient. And there, at the far end, was a grave not yet finished. The dirt was loose, piled beside a shallow hole, and the cross above it was bare. No name, no date, only emptiness. When my light sputtered out, I was swallowed whole by the dark, and I knew I was no longer alone. The air changed, growing wet and thick, and I heard it, the sound of breathing. Not my own, heavier, guttural, labored, coming from the direction of that unfinished grave. I froze, every muscle screaming to run, but my legs refused to move. I whispered into the dark, asking who was there, but only the sound of dirt shifting answered me. The grave was moving. The soil trembled as though something beneath it was trying to claw its way free. My grandfather's words from the journal flooded my head. If I stop digging, it will take me instead. Panic snapped me out of paralysis, and I stumbled backward, slamming into the earthen wall before scrambling up the stairs. My hands shook so violently I could barely push the panel shut above me, but when I finally did, I thought it was over. Until I turned toward the rocking chair in the corner. It was moving, slow, steady, creaking with the rhythm of a heartbeat. And in it, silhouetted by the dim glow of the moonlight, sat the figure of a man, his head tilted toward me, face hidden in shadow, and the smell of earth and rot drifted from him like a fog. My chest tightened, my breath caught, and I fled out the cabin door, into the woods, where the trees themselves seemed to whisper, bending in closer, their branches reaching out like arms trying to drag me back. I drove 4 hours, the road twisting endlessly through the forest, until I finally broke free of the tree line and collapsed at a gas station. But even there, I couldn't escape the feeling that the woods had followed me. I opened my bag to find one of my grandfather's journals. Tug Pramata Dan brought it with me. The pages had changed. The last entry was new, written in a frantic scroll. The land remembers. It demands. 1 grave for every year. If you stop, it will take you. Your grave is waiting. My hands went cold. The date carved into the final page was today's date, and beneath it was my name. That night, I checked into a cheap motel and tried to burn the journal, but the flames wouldn't touch it. The paper only blackened, curling, but never turning to ash. When he woke up, the book was on the nightstand beside me, untouched, open to the same entry. I began to dream of the cabin, of graves opening one by one, of hands pushing out of the dirt, of my grandfather's voice whispering that the land always collects its debt. And when I woke, my fingernails were filled with soil. Somehow, I was digging in my sleep. Somehow, the land was reaching through my body, pulling me back toward it. I don't know how long I can fight it. Every day since, I felt weaker, like something is draining me, pulling the marrow out of my bones. At night, I hear the scraping again, even when I'm miles away. Shovel against stone, dirt against wood, breathing in the dark. I'm terrified of sleeping because when I do, I wake up closer and closer to the cabin, as if the forest itself is shifting around me, guiding me back to where I don't belong. Last night, I dreamed of the unfinished grave again. The dirt was loose, freshly disturbed, and when I looked down into it, I saw my own body lying there, eyes open, mouth filled with soil, my hands still clawing upward. The rocking chair was beside it, and in the chair sat my grandfather, grinning with teeth that dripped with mud. He whispered, "It's your turn." I woke up choking on dirt, real dirt, packed into my throat like someone had shoved it down my mouth. I coughed it out onto the sheets, but the taste won't leave my tongue. It clings to me, the land wants me. It's coming for me. And if you're hearing this, maybe it'll come for you too, because the debt is never paid by just one bloodline. The land spreads its hunger. It finds listeners, dreamers, wanderers, and it drags them in. My grandfather's cabin hides a secret cemetery, but the graves are never enough. There is always another, waiting, unfinished, hungry, and the next cross in the dirt might bear your name. So if you ever inherit a cabin, or if you ever find yourself wandering through the woods and stumble upon one, don't go inside. Don't listen to the silence. Don't follow the stairs, because what waits beneath is not meant for the living. My grandfather's cabin hides a secret cemetery, and the land remembers every soul that touches it. If you dare, click here for the next nightmare story even darker than this one. But be careful, because once you start listening, the land might remember your name too.